Shahin, thanks very much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So, for some, this is it is an annual expector, the seasonal affective disorder. Do we know how many people experience it?
Yeah, so roughly there's an estimate about 10% of all depressions are seasonal affective disorder. There's some research that suggests about 15% of Canadians are typically affected with at least some mild to moderate form of it.
Are there specific populations or groups of people who are more at risk for developing or living with the symptoms of what we can call SAD?
Yes, so seasonal affective disorder typically is more diagnosed more often in women than men. And also, we've noticed that the younger adult population are at higher risk. If there's a family history of seasonal affective disorder or a different type of depression, that also increases the risk. And also for us living so far out of the equator, generally, the further you are up or south, north or south of the equator, we're also at higher risk for sure.
Is there a particular reason why women and younger people live with it more often?
There's some different theories about the causes, but at this time, we don't actually fully understand the causes for seasonal affective disorder and depression. There is some theories that suggest it is because of the effect on certain neurotransmitters in the brain, but we don't have a fully developed theory at the moment yet.
I want to ask about treatment in just a moment, but are there ways, first of all, to prevent seasonal affective disorder or at least reduce its recurrence?
Well, I would say that there's definitely a difference between kind of what we would refer to as the winter blues. That's a little bit shorter term, and a lot of us are affected by it. So we find that as the days are getting shorter and our habits and activities of daily life changes, we generally do see a lot more people kind of feeling down, and that usually lifts after a few days. Seasonal affective disorder is a form of depression, and so it's a clinical condition with a very specific set of symptoms that is shared with major depressive disorder. And so we really want to know, is the person's functioning being impaired? In terms of preventative strategies, we generally don't have any specific things that we can say, this for sure will prevent you from having seasonal affective disorder, but there are certainly things that help. So for example, general things that are really helpful for maintenance of overall mental health and wellness, like ensuring that there's as good as possible, you have good sleep hygiene and good sleep routine, that people are generally eating really well and nutritious meals, exercise and activity. Those are all certainly factors that can be helpful for sure.
Jaleh Shahin, registered psychologist from Upsilon Clinic, telling us about seasonal depression and ways to deal with it. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.